Whether you had a good weekend or a bad one, the one thing we all can't wait to find out is what the numbers look like for next week. Well, wait no longer, because we have them for you. Time to close the door on this week, and let's take a look ahead to next on the Opening Line Show.
5 o'clock here in Las Vegas, tip of the Strip, South Point Hotel and Casino. Matt Human, Sam Panayotovich, as we close the door on Week 14 and eventually move on to Week 15 in the NFL. The two biggest favorites today, two of the bigger favorites, I should say. Patriots lose outright to the Dolphins, and the Steelers lose on the road in Oakland. But we have to start with what we just saw. And you finally saw the play. Eagles and Cowboys, 3rd and 8, thrown off a defender, tipped to Amari Cooper, who waltzes in the end zone.
Yeah, I said this at the end of the green zone today before you took over and we switched shifts. If you don't like to sweat, don't bet the NFL, because that's what this is. Almost every game is a sweat. And we were on the wrong end there if you had the Eagles and the points. I mean, it was right side, wrong result. That is just a complete fluke. And any bettor will tell you that if you continue to lose on complete flukes, it tries your patience, but you just have to stick with it. I mean, that's BS that the Eagles did not cover that game. And can we say another thing about NFL officiating?
The OPI.
Stay out of the damn game. You don't have to throw a flag on every play. The offensive pass interference on Dallas Goedert was a ridiculously bad call, and then there was a bad makeup call as a result of that. It's just the officials clutter up the game. Just let them play.
He had his helmet knocked off mid-play in the middle of the field.
Asinine.
At the star, his helmet gets knocked off.
We're at the point where coaches should be able to challenge officiating calls. That offensive pass interference should be a challengeable call, because you would hope that, as Mike Pereira said on the broadcast, that would be reversed. Right? That Pereira said, no, that's not an offensive pass interference penalty. That should be brought back. This should be a touchdown for the Eagles. We don't know if the result of the game is going to change, Sam, but the officiating has annoyed so many NFL fans. The league's got to do something about this.
Yeah, Dallas did shred Philly. They had way more yards, 576 to 256.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Yards don't matter. Points matter.
Oh, I understand.
And if the Cowboys continue to get in the red zone and kick field goals, they deserve to lose the game. And that's what happened when they were up 9-0. If you were watching that, you said, you know what? They left the door open. The Eagles are probably going to take this from them. So points matter more than yards.
Let's go live to the Westgate. Yeah. Dave Tooley, John Murray standing by. Dave Tooley, VSiN.com senior reporter, and John Murray, of course, Superbook director at the Westgate. Gentlemen, what'd you make of the finish in Dallas and Philly?
I thought the officiating set back the NFL a little bit there in the late fourth quarter. Yeah, the offensive pass interference was ridiculous, and then the roughing the passer call when the defender was laying down and just grabbed Wentz's leg. That was not good either. It was pretty ugly, but made for an exciting finish. But like Matt said, those with Eagles +3, +3.5 took a bad beat there.
And you're going to hear people say, well, they dominated the stats. But, John Murray, that's not what it's about. If you could pile up a bunch of yards and get in the red zone and kick field goals, like you say, kicking is for losers. That's why I say points matter much more than the box score and who dominates the yards. Yeah, the Cowboys dominated yards, but if you kick field goals, you deserve to lose, right?
That offensive pass interference call on Dallas Goedert was probably the most hilarious moment of the NFL season so far. That had to be the worst call of the entire season in the NFL. And then the league, I guess, felt they had to do a makeup call on the roughing the passer penalty shortly after that. The game just completely got away from the officials at the end there.
He got the ball down to the 1-yard line. If you missed the play, Goddard caught the ball around the 45 or the 50. As he's catching the ball, a defender runs in, knocks his helmet off.
Actually, he kind of knocked it off, I think, before he made the catch, didn't he?
Either way, it's a receiver being hit near the helmet.
I thought it was defensive PI. I was shocked when they called offensive pass interference, and I'm with John Murray at the time. I said that's probably the worst call of the NFL season. I don't think I've seen one. We've seen a lot of horrendous officiating mistakes. That's got to be the worst call.
Yeah, and you hate to bitch about it, but God, that was awful. And Johnny, how about this too? Kicking is for losers. Bill Belichick.
Oh,
what was that?
Well, you know, if you go for that, it was 4th and goal at the 4, Sammy. There was 16 seconds left in the game. If you go for it and don't get it, guess what? The Dolphins are at their own 4-yard line, and you're still winning by 2. by kicking the field goal, I mean, obviously the Miami play was a complete fluke, of course. But by kicking the field goal, he got the Dolphins away from their goal line, and they could still win with a touchdown, and miraculously they did. There's no way Miami wins that game if he just goes for that 4th down.
And if you did that dog parlay, Dave, $100 on the money lines, Dolphins and Raiders, you would have made $24.87, almost $2,500 if you would have money line parlay the Dolphins and the Raiders. How about that?
Yeah, I wish I would have done that. I had a Bengals 49ers money line parlay that I was really cheering home, and Chargers got within a 2-point conversion of tying that game. But yeah, what I should have done was the 49ers Raiders, the Bay Area parlay was the one that also cashed.
That's right. I like both those ugly Bay Area dogs. You know what, Dave? When you talk about the Bengals, how about Jeff Driscoll on a 2-point conversion? You don't take a sack. At least throw the ball up for grabs. A high school quarterback should know that. And the guy eats the ball and takes the sack.
Yeah, take the sack there, Matt. Save it for the next play.
Yeah,
it's all about the next play. So I have the view from Vegas.
We do want to ask. You got the view from Vegas numbers. We'll get those. John, how much of a swing was it that the Patriots lost that game outright today? Because I've heard some big numbers around town that the fact, that wipes out a lot of money line parlays, teasers. How big a deal was it that the Patriots lost that game?
It's really hard to calculate that, Matt, because you don't know how many parlays are going to win. Like if the Patriots had won, a lot of those parlays would have lost anyway because the Steelers lost. Right. Now, we didn't know that at the time, but certainly it was a pretty big swing. But I think it ended up being less of a big deal than it would have been had Pittsburgh won.
And your 3 biggest favorites all go down against the number, too. New England laying 9, they lose outright. You had the Steelers laying 10, lose outright, and the Chargers laying 16, 16.5. They win by 5. And the view from Vegas, Dave, I saw your tweet. At View from Vegas, underdogs went 3-2 ATS in the afternoon, so the dogs lead the day 8-5 against the number, and the over/under is pretty split, 7-7. You see the tweet there at VSiN.com and Fubo TV. So now we can fast forward and look ahead to week number 15. Johnny, game number 1 Thursday night, Chargers at the Chiefs in Arrowhead. What's the number?
Chiefs minus 3.5. What a stunning turn of events for the Chiefs today, guys. It looked like they were going to lose to Baltimore. Patrick Mahomes makes that incredible 4th down pass. They win the game, and somehow New England loses to Miami. The Steelers lose. Kansas City can pretty much wrap up the 1 seed on Thursday night.
Big game Thursday night in KC with the Chiefs favored by 3.5. Well, John, what do you speculate the total would be in that game in KC?
It'd be pretty high, like high 50s maybe, mid to high 50s.
All right, Chargers, they got a lot to play for on Thursday night. So, I don't know. What do you think, Sam? Would you be inclined to take the points after watching Patrick Mahomes pull the rabbit out of the hat today? I really don't want to bet against the Chiefs, but the inclination is to always play Phillip Rivers as a road dog. We just saw it a week ago Sunday night in Pittsburgh, and we could see it again Thursday night. Dave, what do you think?
Yeah, I think the Chargers are very live. You mentioned that game against the Steelers. I think it will be a shootout like that. I mean, the Chiefs, again, as much as they won, I mean, they did obviously let a, offense for the Ravens, which is not the most dynamic, although obviously they've been running the ball great with Lamar Jackson in there. But I think this will be a battle, and it very well could come down to 1 score, and hopefully it's a field goal and not another touchdown loss.
We're going to talk about another big AFC game later in the show, but John Murray, have the Chiefs moved to the point of being favorites in the AFC now? Because it looks like they're going to get home field advantage.
With the results of today, not only did they win, you had New England lose, right, Pittsburgh lose, and Houston all lost. So certainly Kansas City is very much in the driver's seat right now. Very likely the AFC playoffs are going to go through Arrowhead Stadium.
Dave, I'd love to get your take on this. Kenny White makes a point value for every player, okay? And he said Kareem Hunt's only worth a point. And my argument was, I don't think you can quantify how many points he's worth because the entire offense changes without Kareem Hunt. Kenny says he's only worth a point. What do you say to that?
Well, again, in the NFL, I mean, it's all about the quarterbacks when it comes to point spread adjustments. Yeah, a running back, I mean, they still ran the ball today. I mean, who was that fourth-string running back for the Chiefs that caught the big pass from Mahomes where he kind of did a no-look pass? So I mean, they're able to still put it in running backs there, and I mean, they're still more of a passing team. So I don't think it's more than a point.
Chiefs are 0-2, by the way, ATS without Kareem Hunt. All right, let's go to Texans and Jets. This game is at MetLife, Johnny, in New Jersey.
Houston is 6.5-point favorite on the road. You know, Matt's favorite quarterback, Sam Darnold, made a few plays today, gentlemen.
Barely.
He did make a few plays. He made a few mistakes, too. But, I mean, that's what's going to happen with rookie quarterbacks. I thought Josh Allen looked pretty good.
Oh, Josh Allen definitely looked pretty good.
Josh Allen, Sam Darnold both played pretty well in that game. I mean, it's one up, one down. It's like I've ripped Josh Rosen, too, and he threw another pick six today. Rookie quarterbacks can be up 1 week, down the next. I think the most important thing for Sam Darnold is going to be getting the right coach in place. John, we've talked about this. I think he can be an above-average starting quarterback in the NFL, but Todd Bowles is not the guy to take him there. The Jets got to find the right coach to develop Sam Darnold, kind of the way Sean McVay's done it with Jared Goff, and Matt Nagy's doing it with Mitchell Trubisky.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more, and I think that the Cleveland Browns as well, they really need to nail their coaching hire.
Yep.
If they do, I think the sky is the limit for Baker Mayfield and that team if they bring in the right coach. Darnold, I would put him behind Mayfield and Allen. I think Mayfield and Allen are the two best quarterbacks in this rookie class, but I still think Darnold could be very good in the right system.
Dave, would you take the 6.5 with the home dog here? Jets at home?
No, I'm still not all that high in the Jets, and I still have my future bets on the Texans I'm cheering for. I'd be more likely to tease the Texans down to pick them. I was discouraged today with the Texans' loss because they could have grabbed that number 2 seed in the AFC and had a really good shot at that.
So Texans and Jets, that's a Saturday game too, by the way.
Yep, that is. Texans win 9 in a row. They fall today at home to the Colts. Don't be surprised if they lose 2 in a row and the Colts have a chance to steal this division. I wouldn't be shocked if the Jets win this game.
You have a second game on Saturday. This is Browns at Broncos, and the Browns bounced back in a great way. They looked awful against the Texans. They win today against a free-falling Panthers club. Johnny, what's Denver favored by at home against Cleveland?
Saturday NFL, Sammy. It's very exciting. Denver, we opened them a 4-point favorite. Money came in on Cleveland +4 and +3.5. That number's been knocked down. The wise guys are catching up to my Brownies, boys. The Browns are playing pretty well.
Not surprised. I was talking with Brian Blessing and Bruce Marshall. Today we were watching the games this afternoon, and we were watching the Broncos. They were playing with very little emotion. They almost were able to make a comeback in that game against the San Francisco 49ers because the 49ers just sat on the lead, did nothing for the majority of the second half. But the Broncos, without Emmanuel Sanders, Demaryius Thomas, Case Keenum doesn't have 2 big-time weapons there. And then that defense with Chris Harris and the other injuries, I think the Broncos are going to limp home. I'm going to say that they missed the playoffs, and they might not win more than 1 game the rest of the season.
And your win total
they're going to push
right?
on they'll probably push on that win total of 7. I'm not sure they beat the Raiders. I'm not sure they beat the Browns. And in fact, I was hoping this number would open a little bit higher because I was looking to take the Browns in this game too.
How do you start capping this one, Dave?
Yeah, the advanced line here at the Westgate last week was Broncos -6. So, Matt, we had our chance to get the Browns +6 last week, but like I said, some of the value is gone on it now. I'll price it this one out.
All right, let's go to Sunday. Dolphins at the Vikings. Minnesota, of course, plays on Monday night on the road in Seattle. But next week, Week 15, they're at home, John, against the Dolphins.
And the Vikings are an 8-point favorite here, Sammy. You know, the NFC playoff picture is really opening up for the Vikings. All the other contenders are falling apart around them. I think if they win tomorrow night, they'll be in very good shape to get one of the 2 NFC wildcard positions.
Not much interest in this game for me. You wonder, how do you handicap the Dolphins off the miracle in Miami today? You know, how's the team respond to that? Is that a springboard? What is it? And then, we see the Vikings play on Monday night. I think we'll have a better read on this game. For me right now, no play.
Dave, anything here? Dolphins, Vikings?
Yeah, I kind of like the Dolphins. I was a little surprised. I thought this number would get chopped a little bit more off the Dolphins' win today. I mean, it really, if you watch that whole game, it really wasn't a fluke. I mean, the Dolphins came out and were matching the Patriots score for score early on. It wasn't just a fluke play at the end that showed they could be competitive. So, I mean, I think, anything over a touchdown here, I'll probably be on them against the Vikings.
And the Oakland Raiders won their 3rd game today. They knock off the Steelers as a 10-point dog. They win outright. John Gruden very animated after the game, and now the Raiders head to Cincinnati to take on the Bengals, John.
It's a hell of a matchup, Sam. The Bengals, a 3.5-point home favorite. You know, since they hired Hugh Jackson, they hired him away, they've lost every game. And actually, they've been passed in the standings by his old team, the Cleveland Browns. And now they're laying 3.5 points. That says a lot about the Raiders season, guys.
What are you going to do when Hugh Jackson's no longer a coach, John? That's half your material.
I'm not going to be able to do media stuff anymore. I mean, short answer. What am I going to talk about?
You continuously just go at him. I love it.
Do you think Hugh Jackson told Jeff Driscoll before the 2-point conversion, whatever you do, don't throw a pick. Take the sack.
Take the sack.
Take the sack.
We'll get him on the next play.
So, John, let me throw this at you. I watched John Gruden just celebrate like a wild man on the sideline today when the Raiders win that game. He's running down the tunnel, celebrating with fans.
He was holding up 3 fingers.
Win number 3. Win number 3. Or does that mean now we have? Does that mean now we have the 3rd draft pick? Because the Raiders had. John, the Raiders had the top draft pick, and by winning that game, they dropped below the Niners again in the draft order.
Right. You know, John Gruden's got a $100 million contract, Matt, so I can't blame him for running around like a maniac celebrating at any time.
Okay.
No, there's no reason for the Raiders to win these games. It's ridiculous. They'd be much better off losing, but it doesn't appear that there's a really elite quarterback in this draft class.
Right.
So maybe that's why these teams aren't punting and trying to get that 1st overall pick. I think if there was an Andrew Luck type player out there, it'd be a very different story.
Dave, do you have a lean? Oakland, Cincy?
You know, I cashed with the Raiders today. I don't think I'm going to press my luck and back them again 2 weeks in a row. So I'll be passing on this one.
The worst team also for covering purposes this year in the NFL, Atlanta Falcons. Now 3-10 against the number. That team is a mess.
Well, and I said it all week. I didn't understand why there was sharp money coming in on the Falcons going up to Lambeau this week. John, can you explain that?
Because Joe Philbin was coaching the other team. That's all I can. That's really all I can give you. I mean, it really made sense for Green Bay today, Matt. The motivated Aaron Rodgers without Mike McCarthy. I know we all talked about this when we did this show last Sunday.
Yeah.
And instead, the money came in the other way on Atlanta and knocked that number down. Sammy said it perfectly. Atlanta is a complete mess.
Yeah, and it's Dan Quinn. I mean, Dan Quinn has not been a favorite coach of mine. Well, and this was the same thing last week. Remember, the Falcons opened up +3. They closed -2.5 against the Ravens. It moved almost 6 points, and they don't even score a touchdown.
Actually, Sarkisian.
The first thing, I'm sorry, Matt. The first thing they need to do is fire Steve Sarkisian or whatever his last name is. I mean, they need to fire him like yesterday, because they've got way too many talented players on their offense to be this bad. I know they've been banged up defensively, but there's no excuse for their offense underperforming with the players they have on that side.
That's true, but I also thought Michael Lombardi made a pretty good point this morning on the Bet Across America show. He said, you watch Matt Ryan, the arm strength's not what it used to be. He throws a lot of flutter balls. And really, Ryan, it's a combination of Sarkisian stinks, and Ryan is just not playing at a high level, John. I think he's got to take some of the blame, too.
I don't disagree with that at all, but I still think that they need to move on. Yeah. Probably need to clear out that whole coaching staff, actually.
Yeah.
It's hard to believe that these guys 2 years ago were just one epic collapse away from being Super Bowl champions. They absolutely should have won the Super Bowl, and look where they are now.
Needed one stop, and you would have been a Super Bowl champ.
One stop?
Yeah, one stop in that game, yeah.
Or kick a field goal when you're in field goal range.
They were in field goal range, and the game was over.
Helped. Or stop one of the two-point conversions. That would have been good.
Yeah, one stop. Like I said, you needed one stop.
They were in field goal range.
They were in field goal range, and the game was over.
No, but I mean, when they're up 28-3, if they would have got a stop here or there, they would. Look, you know what I'm talking about. Well, we'll come back.
That was Kyle Shanahan actually who screwed that game up. I put that more on him than anybody else. Now Sarkisian has done even worse job, far worse job.
All right,
much worse job.
15. We continue the slate coming back here. The opening line show on VSiN.
This is the Opening Lines Show, the first look at next week's pro football lines. You can listen to us on SiriusXM Channel 204, watch us online at VSiN.com, and follow us on Twitter at VSiN Live. Welcome back. We give you the information to get the jump on next week's pro football games. Right now on the Opening Lines Show.
We have this. Welcome back to the Opening Lines Show here on VSiN. Dean Blandino weighing in. Matt Human, Sam Panayotovich on the Opening Lines Show. So Blandino tweets this out, Matt. In Dallas, that is not offensive pass interference. Heath tried to jam Goddard, and Goddard used his hands to swim through. I'm glad that Dean Blandino weighed in on the most obvious call of all time.
If his paychecks were getting signed by the league, he wouldn't say that. But, you know, my mom's standing outside the studio, and she could tell you that was not offensive pass interference.
I'm just glad that, you know, Dean sounded off and, chimed in.
Stating the obvious. Everybody who watched that knows that was not offensive pass interference except for the dumbass official on the field that called it. And, and John Murray's correct. I think that is the worst call of the entire NFL season.
Right,
wiped out an 80-yard touchdown.
Right before that drive, Dean Blandino tweeted, "Grass is green, sky is blue." That's actually the previous tweet from Dean Blandino. Okay, where were we? Week 15, NFL. Buccaneers at the Ravens. John Murray, Dave Tooley live at the Westgate. Baltimore's favored. I know that, John, but by how much?
Ravens a 7.5-point home favorite here, Sam. You know, the Ravens, they really let that one slip away today in Kansas City. See if it ends up costing them a playoff spot.
It's just amazing. You talk about epic collapses. The Ravens snatched defeat from the jaws of victory today, had that game won. Patrick Mahomes, you have to give him credit for the playmaking ability there, but the Ravens, that's a major letdown to let a game like that slip away. And the Buccaneers looked like they had control against the Saints and did everything wrong in the second half to allow the Saints to get out of Tampa with a win today. At 7.5, I have no interest in playing this game. I mean, I think you're going to get a lot of teaser action on the Ravens. That's what you'll probably see.
And, Dave, this is a role reversal, right? The Ravens, they go from being about a touchdown dog. Now they go home. They're laying 7.5, might get to 8. How do you view this matchup here? Tampa was hanging around quite a bit against New Orleans. They didn't cover, but they hung around for a good chunk of that game.
Hanging around, they were winning 14-3 at the half.
Right.
They were really dominating,
right.
And it was amazing that they not only lost, but then even lost the cover, which was frustrating. Even though they tried their damnedest to get down there and get back in the back door, but to no avail. But I'm gonna have to look at this game more. Again, losing with the Buccaneers kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But I'll probably be beyond them again. Because, I don't expect the Ravens to blow them out.
Can't wait for this game on Sunday. Cowboys at the Colts. Who's favored here, John, and by how much?
This is a really good game, Sam. We got the Colts. We opened them as a 3-point favorite, knowing we would write money on Dallas, and we have. We're okay with that right now. I think it's a tough spot for Dallas off that emotional win over Philadelphia. And, Matt mentioned it earlier on the show. Indianapolis is still very much in the AFC playoff race.
I think the Colts are dangerous. They get shut out in Jacksonville. I liked them a lot today in Houston, and they took care of business. Watch out for the Colts, man. This is a team that could make a little bit of a run here if the Texans stumble next week in New York. I agree with John. If you set this number at 2.5, I'd play the Colts right away. So in John's shoes, you got to put this number at 3, knowing that you'll get a little bit of action on the Cowboys. But I wouldn't be afraid of that because, like he said, Dallas off that win today is in a letdown spot next week in Indianapolis, and the Colts have much more of a sense of urgency to win. The Cowboys, after knocking out the Eagles today, essentially have won that division, right?
Yeah.
Because they have a tiebreaker and essentially a 3-game lead. So they don't play with the same sense of urgency that the Colts do next week, and that's why I think 3 is the right number.
You look at that AFC playoff picture, too. You've got the Ravens currently on the 6 line. They're 7-6, and the Colts are right behind them. Colts in the 7 hole. Also 7-6. On to the next game. Oh, boy. Matthew Stafford, Josh Allen, Lions at the Bills, John.
We opened this game a pick. I was very relieved to see the Bills lose today, guys. The Bills have made me very nervous the last few weeks. They've been very frisky since Josh Allen got back from his injuries.
Been a while since we heard John say frisky on the show.
And I wanted to wedge it in somehow. It's the only thing I have on my notepad here.
I've also got the Bills under 6 wins, so that helps today. You got 2 games left, right? And Bills got 3 games left or 2. We got 4 and 10.
Well, they got 3. They got 3 more games.
Yeah,
if they had won today, we would have been in some trouble, man.
Yeah, Bills are 4-9.
We had the record wrong up there on the screen. It said 4 and 10.
Yeah, so they play the Lions at home, then at New England, and they wrap it up at home against Miami.
They could easily win 2 of those games.
Easily?
Huh?
Sure.
Easily?
The Bills?
Yeah, maybe.
I think so.
Yeah.
They could. They could beat Miami. Buffalo's playing very well right now. I really like what I see from Josh Allen. They're a good team defensively. They're extremely well coached. There's no reason they can't go out and beat your guy, Matt Stafford, Sammy.
Dave, what do you got here, Lions and Bills?
Is that your guy, Matt Stafford?
He's my fourth quarter hero because of all the comeback wins he has, right? Because he's always down. So, anyways, Dave, Lions and Bills?
Yeah, I've got a note on my notepad. Here at the Westgate, actually, the Lions are now 2 on the board. I mean, the Bills are -2 on the board. And so I understand that move. The Lions, when I bet on them the last few weeks, they didn't come through, and I certainly wasn't impressed with how they let the Cardinals stick around almost that whole game today.
Packers and Bears will renew their rivalry also this weekend coming up. Chicago will be favored against the depleted Packers, and Aaron Rodgers wasn't that great today. I mean, you look at the numbers, I believe 19 of 30. Still maybe a little banged up, but that's just a really average football team, John, and you've said that for weeks on the show. Knowing all that, how big of a favorite is Chicago at home against Green Bay?
We open at Chicago -5.5, guys. It's closed right now. Chicago is currently playing the Rams, but I think the public is going to come in on the dog here. The public loves to back the dog when it's Aaron Rodgers. They love the idea of getting Aaron Rodgers in points. There'll be a lot of money on Green Bay. We've seen that several times this season, most notably when they played at the Rams about a couple months ago.
And you're also going to hear a lot about Aaron Rodgers' record against the Bears. Now, this is a different Bears team, Sammy. We both know that. Aaron Rodgers today, 21 for 32, 196 yards, 2 TDs, did not get picked. He played better. He was not phenomenal or anything like that. But the two things you look at here, John said, a lot of bettors say you're going to give me points, especially more than a field goal with Aaron Rodgers, especially against a rival that he has dominated for the past decade. I think you're going to get, depending on how the Bears finish up Sunday night, you're going to get pretty strong two-way action on this game. I think there's going to be some interest in the dog. Dave, you're a Chicago guy. Would you have interest in Rodgers in this spot catching 5.5 or maybe 6?
At 5.5, no. If the Bears play tonight and the line gets jacked up, I would certainly take the Packers +7 if the Bears were that impressive.
I can't see that happening.
We'll see what happens. Well, again, we'll see what happens Sunday night games.
Yeah, I don't know about 7, maybe 6, 6.5. We'll see, though. He's right. If the Bears wallop the Rams, this would certainly move the meter. Titans and Giants on Sunday. Game also at MetLife. They play Saturday at MetLife. The Jets do. Giants play at home, John, on Sunday against Tennessee.
Giants a 3-point favorite after their big win today over the Redskins. If I was a Giants fan, I'd be getting a little nervous. That they're going to talk themselves into another year of Eli Manning.
Giants keep winning, and they blew out the Redskins today, who have no quarterback at this point. So I don't know what you make of this Giants little surge, but I do think they're going to find a quarterback in the offseason. Giants actually have talent. So when you look ahead to 2019, the trigger man is what they have to fix. They got to find a quarterback. I don't know if I'd play this game, though. I like the Giants a little better in the dog roll. And believe it or not, Sam, they've been a better bet on the road than they have been at home this season.
They've covered 4 of their last 6 games, the Giants.
And they've actually been a moneymaker on the road all season. After flopping at Dallas early in the season, Giants have been a good bet on the road. How about Odell Beckham? What's he mean to the number? Today, John, he meant nothing.
Yeah, the market moved by about 0.5 point with Odell Beckham Jr. out. I mean, I think you guys touched on this at the top of the show, but unless it's a quarterback, the players just don't really move the market too much in the NFL.
Last game, segment 2 here, opening line show on VSiN. Jacksonville at home against Washington. What's the number on this one, Murray?
Jacksonville, a 7.5-point favorite here. The Redskins season is over. You can't lose both of your quarterbacks to broken legs and just keep moving forward. So the Redskins will most likely lose their last 3 games and pick somewhere like 14th in the draft and be the exact same team again next year.
You can hear the sadness in John's voice as Redskins super fan says that. Mark Sanchez played today like he had 2 broken legs and a broken arm.
John, I've got over 7 wins. They were 6-3. They're not going to get to 7.
Well, they're definitely not going to get to 8.
No.
Hopefully they can gut one out and get you a push, Sammy. But no, the Redskins season is over. You can't lose both. They started the season with 2 quarterbacks on their roster, and both of them broke their leg. You just can't overcome that.
Dave, no chance you take the Skins plus 7.5, right?
No, yeah, you're talking about players affecting the line. I think this is where we're seeing the adjustment with Sanchez. I mean, Jaguars minus 7.5. didn't think we would see that again this year. So, I mean, obviously that's an adjustment against the Redskins.
This is one of those first games, humans. I look at it and I just put a big X through it. I want no part of either side. No chance I'm laying 7.5 with Jacksonville.
You know, that's an interesting question. John, will this game, Redskins-Jags, be the lightest bet game on the card, the smallest handle, or is there a chance that this could actually draw some betting interest by the end of the week? What do you think?
I don't know about the lightest bet game on the card. There's a few other duds out there, but it'll certainly be at the very bottom, Matt. I mean, there will be a lot of parlays, including Jacksonville money line, just because they're over a touchdown favorite. So there will be some money in the pool, but I have to think the Redskins, they might be the least bet team of the week next week in the NFL.
Yeah. I've got another dud for you. We'll come back. We'll look at the afternoon slate on Sunday, the Sunday Nighter, and the Monday Nighter. Matt Human, Sam Panayotovich, John Murray, Dave Tooley here on VSiN.
This is the Opening Lines Show, the first look at next week's pro football lines. You can listen to us on SiriusXM Channel 204, watch us online at VSiN.com, and follow us on Twitter at VSiN Live.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
Will you get some betting on some of these teams?
Oh, we've had some really good action this week. I don't think the Bama number is that prohibitive. I think it's a fair number, but I think I got some pretty good numbers on the rest of the board. And you could see if you went and looked at my charts, I got some pretty good action on the other ones, which is good. I mean, I want to have Bama going for me for as much as I possibly can. But really, at this point in time, we're in a pretty good position with everybody. I think our worst is Oklahoma, and we're still well into 5 figures, I think, with Oklahoma, and that's the worst team on the block for it.
I like Justin Jackson.
Okay.
The kid's good. He was a beast at Northwestern, and I think he is a fully capable running back. We saw him get 7 carries for 54 yards last week after Melvin Gordon went down in limited work. And don't be surprised if that is an almost even distribution of workload there, and between Eckler and Jackson. And Eckler's good, and Eckler can be a good inside runner. And Eckler's, by the way, he and Philip Lindsay are leading the NFL in yards per carry at 5.8. And so you can definitely get something done here.
You do raise a point there, though, that we don't harp on enough, which is handicappers as sports bettors. While I was watching Chase Daniel and the Bears yesterday, I was secretly hoping the Bears would end up winning that, and then Chase would play again, so you could just bet the house against him, because I felt the same way about him as you are saying about Lamar Jackson. Because I don't know how Chase Daniel, first of all, how they won that game against Detroit was a pick 6, obviously. But yesterday, how they got the ball downfield to actually tie that after the onside kick was just, or even prior to that drive as well. It was just amazing, and to me was an outlier.
All right, what do you make of the T-Wolves at this point? After the Butler trade, they are 4.5-point home favorites against the Spurs tonight. And what do you make of the Spurs?
Well, the Timberwolves, I mean, they got that weight lifted after the Butler trade, and they added Covington, which their defense has been better since the trade has happened. But it's just overall the locker room has been better for that team, and you could see it on the floor. And I'm actually still stunned that they went into the season with Butler on the team and they didn't move him before the season started, because that really put a dent into the year for him. So you can see that they're an improved team now without him.
Welcome back. We give you the information to get the jump on next week's pro football games. Right now on the Opening Lines Show.
We're halfway home here, the Opening Lines Show on the Vegas Stats and Information Network. Matt Humans, Sam Panayotovich here at the South Point, and live at the Westgate, Dave Tooley and John Murray. Guys, we resume with another game that could be a betting dud. Arizona Cardinals, Atlanta Falcons. John, what's our number here?
Atlanta minus 7.5, and Sam, the way they're playing, that says a lot about the Arizona Cardinals.
That's shocking. You see a number like this. Bad teams like the Jags and Falcons laying 7.5.
Yeah, not 7, 7.5.
7.5. The Jags and the Falcons are laying this week. I'm not going to be laying those numbers. I assume John. Just as a bookmaker, you have to expect you're going to get teaser action on those two favorites, right?
Absolutely, teaser action, money line parlay action. Matt, these guys cannot help themselves. They see a team laying 7.5 points and they think, I've got to bet on that team.
It's automatic, right?
Dave, you could get 8 right now with the Cardinals if you're so inclined.
No, thank you.
At least consider it, Dave.
No, thank you.
Okay, let's move on then. Seahawks on the road in San Francisco against the Niners, and the Niners with a nice win today against the Denver Broncos. Seattle, I know they're a road favorite here, Johnny.
Seattle is a 6-point favorite on the road here, and Seattle's a team very much in the NFC playoff race. 49ers, much like their Bay Area rivals, the Raiders, trying to cost themselves the first overall pick, I guess, these last few weeks. But you got to lean to Seattle here. Pete Carroll's done a tremendous job with that team.
Number one rushing offense in the NFL. And you look at the 49ers, you got a 20-0 lead today, and you almost find a way to blow it against the Broncos. Let me ask you something, Sammy. Do you think Dave Tooley wants any part of the Cardinals?
No.
No?
No.
You sure?
I don't think so.
Okay, Dave, how about the Niners? Do you want any part of the Niners?
Yes, I do like the Niners.
Okay.
But the +6 here is gone. It got moved to 5.5 already. But
might come back.
Yeah, I would guess that overall everyone's going to be back in Seattle in the playoff race. So I think we'll still get the +6. I mean, the Niners, they definitely stepped up today. Mullins has done much better at home. I mean, he's been terrible when he's gone on the road.
Yep.
But he's been much serviceable, and again, got the win again today. Although mostly George Kittle, I think obviously Seattle's going to make some adjustments there to cover the tight end.
I'm looking at tankathon.com, and they always keep this up to date, the draft order in the NFL. San Francisco would pick first, 3-10. Then Arizona, also 3-10. Oakland now picking third.
Wow.
So there are multiple reasons why John Gruden was holding up the 3.
3 fingers. Third win. We picked number 3 in the draft.
Third.
Okay.
I might not be here after 3 years. And then right on the 4 line, hey.
We won by 3 points today.
Don't rule this out. The Atlanta Falcons have lost 5 in a row. They are right behind those 3. San Francisco 1, Arizona 2, Oakland 3, and Atlanta just a game back. Mm-hmm. And that team, John, that Atlanta Falcons team falling fast. But leave it to John Gruden to go from 1 to 3 with a win today.
Again, the guy makes so much money, Sam. He probably doesn't care about the draft.
Very, very true. Hard to argue with that. All right, so this one's off the board. We have to shake a couple things out, including the status of Ben Roethlisberger, who was hurt, then he wasn't hurt. Then when it was time to win the game late, he wasn't hurt again. He came back out. So we don't know if Ben's playing. Assuming he does, and we've seen this over the years where he's doubtful, but then he plays. What would you estimate this number could be? New England at Pittsburgh.
Well, Sam, I certainly expect Ben Roethlisberger to play. We're just leaving it down as a precaution in case it turns out that rib injury is worse than it looked today. I guess the Steelers will probably be about a 2.5-point favorite, maybe 2.5 minus 120. This becomes a must-win game for the Steelers. Mm-hmm. They blew that game last week against the Chargers. They totally blew that game today against the Raiders. They need to win this game now. And the Patriots are coming in off of a loss of their own. So this is a very critical game for the AFC playoff picture.
No doubt about it. And that's why you think, John, we said it before, the Chiefs are in the driver's seat because the Patriots and the Steelers have really taken a dump here this week, right?
Absolutely, and the Texans as well. The Texans were on a 9-game winning streak. Houston could have got themselves into the picture for a bye, and I don't think that's going to happen now. Kansas City is firmly in control in the AFC, and Pittsburgh and New England, they've got a lot of work to do to get one of those two bye positions in the AFC playoffs.
The Steelers sure give off the impression, it seems to me, that they're a team ready to collapse, and we've seen 3 straight losses now. We know they have problems in the locker room. You've got the coach and the quarterback kind of sniping at each other. Roethlisberger taking shots at his receivers. I wouldn't be surprised, John, if we see the Steelers just completely fall apart. Now,
Roethlisberger has Juju Smith-Schuster and Antonio Brown. What does he want exactly?
Exactly.
Does he want to trade receiving cores with the Jets guys?
Probably not. I would say not.
I think he's doing pretty well in terms of his wide receivers, but certainly I agree with you. There's a lot of not much harmony in the Steelers locker room. How about that?
If he plays, what would this line? Would this be essentially a pick'em game if Roethlisberger does go? Do you think, or Patriots -1? What are we looking at?
No, I'm expecting him to play. That's why I have it. That's why I said it'd be like a 2.5 minus 120, maybe 3 even on the Steelers.
Really? Wow, I wouldn't want to lay anything with the Steelers the way they're playing right now.
I don't think New England's that good, Matt, is really what it comes down to. I've said that all year. I don't think the Dolphins or the Patriots are that good of a team.
Dave, when you look at the Patriots, though, in the underdog role, this will be the first time this year they'll be a dog. They were not a dog last year. They were a dog once in 2016 and once in 2015. So the third time only in 4 seasons the Patriots will be a dog. Are you interested?
Very much so, although I'm sure I won't be the only one doing this week, but I think the play would be the Patriots teased up to +7.5. Again, the advanced line on this was Steelers -1.5 last week. So I understand what John is saying about, Steelers in a must-win where it might be 2.5. But yeah, I mean, obviously +8.5 would be even a better teaser.
I don't necessarily disagree with John. I think he's onto something, but we have to expand on this because it's the Patriots. When you make a bold statement like that, explain yourself. Why don't you think the Patriots are that good?
I just don't think that they have anywhere near the kind of roster talent that we see in Kansas City, that we see with the Chargers, that we see with the Steelers, frankly. They do have Bill Belichick. That makes up for a lot of that. But I just don't think that they have as many elite players as the other top teams in the AFC.
Okay.
Let's move to Sunday night. Eagles, Rams. This should be a good one. I think the Eagles, well, you never know what effort you're going to get, though, from the Eagles. So let me rewind there for a second because their season could have just crumbled down today. So the Rams will be at home against the Eagles. Of course, now it's off the board. But what did you guys open up the Rams at home against Philly?
The Rams a 7.5-point home favorite, Sammy. And, the Rams have failed to deliver as big favorites against the point spread several times this season, although they did cover last week against Detroit. But I think you hit the nail on the head there. How motivated is Philadelphia going to be? Did their season end today with that crushing loss to the Cowboys, or are they going to rally up and try to get one of those 2 wild card spots in the NFC?
I would answer that and say their season ended today. I think that's what happened with the Eagles.
That was tough to watch, that offense, all day.
Well, it's tough for us to watch when you get the points. You got 3.5 or 4 points with the Eagles, and you lose by 6 on that fluke play at the end. I think
on 3rd and 8.
That's why we're both bitter about that game right now. But I do think that was kind of like the make or break, the all or nothing game for the Eagles, and they lost it, John. I'm not going to count on them to bounce back.
I agree with you, and if it makes you feel better, Matt, I did have the Eagles in the Golden Nugget contest.
Oh, brutal.
And I was +3.5.
Mm-hmm.
Put an L next to that one.
I did, too.
That was a tough one. Yeah. Dave, did you suffer the same feat with us?
Yep, all 4 of us. Eagles +3.5.
What a brain trust, all of us on the Eagles like that.
I mean, they should have covered that game. We know that. We know that. I'll throw you a life raft, Dave. Eagles +7.5, yes or no?
I don't think so. Again, based on their season is probably over. Give me the Patriots +7.5 and the Rams -1.5, -2.5 on the teaser.
The Rams 2-5-1 against the spread going into the Sunday night game against the Bears in their past 8. But this is also, Sammy, if you think about a storyline here, this is where Carson Wentz blew his knee out last year in the same week, early to mid-December. I think it was December 10th last year against the Rams at the Coliseum is when he wrecked his knee. So now the Eagles go back to play essentially the same game a year later.
Wow, that's something. I wish I could take the Eagles, but I think I'm about done after today. I think that was it. It was a struggle to watch.
I wouldn't be surprised to see the Rams just put one on the Eagles. Similar to what the Saints did to the Eagles, not 48-7, but I would have no interest in taking the points with Philly in this spot.
Especially, say the Rams go down Sunday night, and they're coming back in a bounce-back spot against a team that could quit. That could get really ugly. Really ugly. And the last one, Monday Night Football, December 17th. You've got the Saints at the Panthers, and Johnny, the Panthers are not playing well. Another loss today, this time to a rookie quarterback. What are the Saints laying in Carolina?
Saints a 7-point favorite on the road here, guys. And if a lot of favorites cover on Saturday and Sunday, I'll be surprised to see that number go higher. There's going to be a lot of parlay liability to the Saints. I don't think too many people are going to be running to the window to back the Panthers in this game.
And, of course, Matt, the Saints get an extra couple days to prepare. They played last Thursday in Dallas. I'm sorry. Wait.
They played today.
Total cramp. My bad. That's my bad.
Okay.
My bad. I'm looking ahead, not today. My bad. That's my bad.
They get an extra day to prepare for the Monday night game. But
they get an extra day to prepare. That's what I meant.
The Saints had extra time to prep for the game in Tampa, and it didn't look like it helped them because, John, I really thought they were ragged for about 2.5 quarters. They did not look good today.
I agree, and Dave and I were talking in between segments that New Orleans was pretty lucky to cover that spread. A lot of moments there where it looked like they could have lost that game. So New Orleans doesn't seem to have the same mojo they had several weeks ago. And Carolina's just a mess. There's nothing more to say. I wanted to give Musburger the Browns on the Super Contest, but I just couldn't bring myself to do it again. I thought he was going to be like, are you serious, kid? You're giving me the Browns again? So at the end of the day, I gave him a different team.
They started 6-2 this year, Carolina. 5 straight losses at the Steelers, at the Lions, Seahawks at home, at the Bucks, at the Browns.
I was on the Browns today, John. That's your team, the Browns. Who did you give Brent instead of the Browns? Did you give him a winner?
I gave him the Bears, so we'll find out, man.
Okay.
No, I wanted to give him the Browns, but I'd given him the Browns so many times, and they got stomped by Houston last week. I thought he was just going to look at me like I was an idiot if I gave him the Browns, and I choked. I panicked.
I would go as far as to say that Carolina should seriously think about moving on from Ron Rivera.
There's no doubt about that.
They most likely will, yeah.
I think the Panthers probably will change directions. Coach, I think the equivalent, John said he choked. That's kind of like taking a sack on a 2-point conversion to tie the game at the end, right?
I Jeff Driscoll. I should have just said the Browns. I wanted to. You guys know how I feel about the Browns. I felt like I couldn't go back to the well again. And one thing to consider with Carolina, Sammy, they have a new owner who's probably going to want to bring in his own people. And the season that the Panthers have turned in are giving him a perfect excuse to get rid of Ron Rivera.
Dave, really tough, too, as a dog player. Tough to get in front of the Saints train at times, right?
Yeah, and again, I did it today, and it cost me. Although, again, I feel like I've still made the right call, but the Bucs just folded. I think on Monday, I'm not going to be on the home dog here either. Again, I called another Thule teaser with the Saints teased down to pick 'em.
That does it for the slate, Week 15 in the NFL, the opening line show here on VSiN. We'll come back. We'll look at some movements in college football, and you got some bowl games right around the corner. It's VSiN.
This is the Opening Lines Show, the first look at next week's pro football lines. You can listen to us on SiriusXM Channel 204, watch us online at VSiN.com, and follow us on Twitter at VSiN Live.
For me, it's always college basketball because there's so many games that go on. They start early in the season. You're still focused on the football season when the college basketball season starts. So for me, it's always been college basketball, just so many teams.
I think when it's the hardest sport to handicap, I think from our side of the counter, it's baseball because there's not a point spread involved. It's just picking winners. And I think you look at the public and they're going to say, or the bettors, that that's the easiest sport for them because in so many cases you have kind of the haves and the have-nots. It's much easier to bet streaks. And you're not just betting teams in some cases, you are betting pitchers as well. Historically, baseball has been one of our lowest hold percentages. And from our side of the counter, I think in many cases difficult to handicap.
I would say right now it might be the NFL because the lines are so good. The lines are so tight. There's so much liquidity in the marketplace that if you're off at all, people are going to take advantage of it. And now in 2018 NFL, a lot of these NFL games come down to one singular play or one singular call by the officials. Perfect example, Baltimore Ravens, Oakland Raiders today. Oakland down 10 at 11.5 to 13-point underdogs down 10 late in the game. Decide to go for it on fourth down rather than punt the football. Derek Carr hit, fumbles the ball, returned by the Ravens. So many of these games in the NFL are determined by just one singular play, and the lines are so tight. I always think the NFL is the hardest sport to handicap.
Well, probably college basketball the first few weeks, only because you have new people coming in there. Naturally, the seniors are leaving, but the one and done and stuff like that. But obviously, you know that your power teams are usually going to be about the same starting that year as opposed to the ending of the previous year. But with college basketball, and there's so many teams, so many games to keep up on all of them is really, really a task. So I would say college basketball, especially the first 3 weeks of the season, is the hardest part for us.
Welcome back. We give you the information to get the jump on next week's pro football games. Right now on the Opening Lines Show.
You've got a couple days to get down on the VSiN Bowl Guide, second annual VSiN Bowl Guide, because in 2 days it goes from $9.99 to $19.99. So if you pre-order it right now, you can still lock in that price. Get set for bowl season. It's right here. All the stats, trends, analysis, predictions, power ratings, and, of course, the best bets from Matt Humans and Dave Thule.
And your best bets.
Mine are in there as well.
Okay.
Yep, mine were submitted. 10 of them, right? We put in 10. So you get the VSiN Bowl Guide. If you pre-order it today, tomorrow, you get it for $9.99. VSiN.com. VSiN.com/subscribe. You got to do the homework to be prepared for bowl season. VSiN will help you. VSiN.com/subscribe. As we finish up here on the opening line show on the Vegas Stats and Information Network, Matt Human, Sam Panayotovich, and live at the Westgate, Dave Tooley and John Murray. Let's look at some bowl lines. Before we get to the games coming up, John, Will Grier, what's up? I mean, Will Grier says he's not going to play for West Virginia?
Yeah, I did the show yesterday. I talked to Amal Shaw and Kenny White about it. I think Will Grier is absolutely doing the right thing. He has an NFL career to consider. He's a possible first-round pick in the draft. The Camping World Bowl, not that important, Sammy.
I understand. I just thought I'd like to see a player that is really good at quarterback play quarterback in a bowl game. And this, you guys have moved it down to 1.5. It was 6.5.
7. It went from 7 all the way down to 1.5. 6. There was 6.5 and 7 out there on the market.
I can tell you right now that I will fall out of my chair on draft night when we're doing the show if he's a first-round pick. But he's going to be similar to Lamar Jackson, probably the make or break in the prop number. Don't you think, John? When you put up the prop number, how many quarterbacks would go in the first round? Will Grier is a guy who could decide that prop if he goes late in the first or in the second, right?
He should be a fringe guy. I haven't looked at too many mock drafts. I would guess that Haskins and Herbert from Oregon are the top 2 quarterbacks.
Yep.
Coming in. I like that kid, North Dakota State, Easton Stick.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I like that kid. That kid might be somebody to keep an eye on.
Yeah, and a lot of people will make comparisons, of course. The easy comparison, well, look at what Carson Wentz has done.
Right.
So it'll be an easy comparison. Las Vegas Bowl, gentlemen. We've got Arizona State, Fresno State. This line has already moved up. Open 3.5 on the Fresno State side, now up to 4.5. Dave, anything here in the Vegas Bowl?
I know Herm Edwards plays to win the game, but I think this number's a little short. I think it should be closer to a touchdown, so I won't be on the dog there.
And Jeff Tedford, been one of the best coaches this year covering numbers. Only 2 games they didn't cover.
Yeah, you think about that. Before Tedford showed up, Fresno was 1-11, and since he's been there, I think 20. Let's see, in 2 years. Tedford by 21-5. It's really remarkable what he's done since he got to Fresno. Actually, 2 year wouldn't have been somewhere around 20 wins, right, for Fresno in the 2 years he's been there, and that was 1-11 team before Jeff Tedford showed up.
21-6.
21-6. The key thing to look at here is N'Keal Harry, who's going to be maybe the number 2 receiver taking the NFL draft, is not going to play for Arizona State. I think this is the type of game where you look at the favorite maybe and under the total. You're taking Arizona State's best playmaker off the field, and that's going to be a big factor.
When we look at the games on the first of the year, and I'm wondering where this number goes, John. Ohio State playing Washington opened up Buckeyes -5, up to 6.5, and you might even see 7 soon. How do you cap this one, Buckeyes and Huskies?
I think it's a tough game to cap because guys are asking me if I think that the Ohio State team will be motivated to send Urban Meyer out on a win. I don't know that Urban Meyer is some beloved coach that they are going to want to send out with a big win. And I think Chris Peterson is a better coach than Urban Meyer. So I don't know if there's really a bunch of a coaching edge there. I think it's more likely to come down, actually, Sam. I think Washington's a little bit underrated.
And then when you cap this one too, Matt, you look at Ohio State, 6-7 ATS, but the last 2 games they look really, really good in, right? So what team are they? Are they the team from earlier, or are they the team as of late?
I like to hear John Murray's perspective on that because, Ohio State was a totally different team in the last 2 games than it was, in the first 3 months, first 2.5 months. I've probably talked to 10 people about this game whose opinion I respect, and 9 have said they expect Ohio State to destroy Washington, and John's the first one I heard say he likes Washington, so it's interesting to hear that angle.
I don't believe that they're going to be motivated to send Meyer out. I don't think they care about Urban Meyer.
I'm leaning more towards John Murray's direction here. I have a lot of respect for Chris Peterson. They got a good defense. Washington's got a really good defense, and I don't think it's an automatic here that Ohio State blows out Washington in Pasadena.
And Dave, if you wait this out, I know you will if you like the dog. If you could get 7 with Washington, would you pull the trigger?
I think that's exactly what I was thinking. I think 7 might be the buy sign.
And not much movement yet, Murray, in the college football playoff games. You still got Alabama laying 14, Clemson 11.5. Do you think the Clemson number keeps moving? Will we see 12, 12.5, 13?
No, actually, I think if anything, it's going to go the other way, Sam. I think the Notre Dame bettors will come in and probably knock that number down. The only thing we've really seen movement on, guys, the total, Alabama-Oklahoma, that total has actually gone up from the opener of 79.5, and I thought that was high.
Although 81.5 now.
Yeah, it's just hard to picture Oklahoma stopping Alabama even one time in that game.
10 seconds. All right, we're out of time. I had a good question for John Murray. We'll save it for next week.
For next week.
Matt, you can always text me or find me on Twitter.
Okay, John.
Mitch and Paul, back tomorrow, bright and early on VSiN.
This is the Opening Lines Show, the first look at next week's pro football lines. You can listen to us on SiriusXM Channel 204, watch us online at VSiN.com, and follow us on Twitter at VSiN Live.
Get stats, trends, and analysis for every bowl game in the second annual VSiN Bowl Guide, a special digital magazine from the Vegas Stats and Information Network. The VSiN Bowl Guide is designed to help improve your handicapping for the college football postseason. Our experts break down every single matchup, and we have 3 sets of power ratings to help you make your own picks. Plus, Matt Humans and Dave Tooley offer their best bets, sides or totals, on the entire bowl lineup. The Bowl Guide was the first special betting guide we ever did, and we received tremendous feedback. If you don't believe it, go to VSiN.com/Bowl Guide and look at last year's guide. The VSiN Bowl Guide priced at $19.99, but if you pre-order it right now, get it for $9.99 at VSiN.com/subscribe. VSiN All-Access subscribers get the special issue as part of their paid subscription. If you're not a paying subscriber, now's a great time to take advantage of our $79 deal. The $79 package includes 9 point spread weekly editions from now through the Super Bowl, the VSiN Bowl Guide, and access to all our live video and replays for 2 months. All the details at VSiN.com/subscribe, VSiN.com/subscribe.
If you didn't catch VSiN last week, here's some of what you missed.
What are your weekends like? It's just you sit in front of the screen just looking at all these bets from all over the country now, right? And accepting this, accepting that, and is that your whole day now?
Yeah, I mean, on Saturdays, my day's just the same. It's just busier. I get there at 6, start putting up the college basketball, college football, whatever. Start taking bets, leave there about 8. Grab something to eat, go to sleep, come back about 6:30 on Sundays, and leave about 6 the next day. So the weekends are, about 24 and a half hours of nonstop action and work, but the weekends are infinitely better than my weekdays. The weekdays are involved with interviews and hiring and meetings and budgets and all that, where any one of those 5 days I'm the favorite to put a gun to my head.